And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, Flames finally get the monkey off their back. Former NHLer Glenn Hanlon drops by for a chat, and Mike Skid joins us here in the studio. All that and a whole lot more coming up, so don't go far. And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Jim Hennessy flying solo for the time being anyway. Nice to have you tuned in on this Monday evening. And spring-like weather outside. Certainly hope you're enjoying that and hope the Christmas shopping hasn't got you down too far backlogged. Nice to have you tuned in. Certainly hope you stick around for the next 30 minutes. We have got an action-packed show lined up for you, from the St. John Flames to former NHL goaltenders to Mike Skid talking about some senior baseball. But first, we're going to get to the Flames highlights, of course, as we, per normal this time of the year. Flames took on the Lowell Lock Monsters Friday night at Harbor Station, riding that 4-game home winless streak, trying to get that monkey off their back as the Lock Monsters rolled into town. Earl Smith and the TVNB cameras took a trip down to Harbor Station, and here's the highlights from Friday night's action.
Hi, I'm Earl Smith, reporting from Harbor Station for Time Out. The game tonight, the Lowell Lock Monster defeated the St. John Flames 4-1, and that score pretty well tells the story of the game. Rather one-sided. The Lock Monster were good value for their 4 goals, and the Flames were good value or poor value for their 1 goal, I guess. So here are the highlights of the game with Aaron Kennedy.
Clark has it for the Flames. Bringing it through the neutral zone. His shot hit Giroux in the face. Giroux is down and shaken up. The Flames control. Referee Ernst wants to stop the play, and it took him a while. That puck coming up and catching Giroux in the face could have easily blown the play down immediately, and I don't think anyone would have been too concerned, because obviously the first concern is the player's safety, and that appears to have caught Giroux up near his left eye. McLean brings it over the line. McLean moving in, short-handed shot, stopped by Travis Scott, and he covers up. The Lowell defense just kept backing up, and McLean realized that if he were to throw it up a notch, he could get in behind them, and he did. Breton brings it over the Lowell line, moves it for Cowan in front, battle with a backhand, and the pads are stacked by Scott, who makes the save, and the puck is iced by the Lowell defense. Korolev moving and dishing off, one-timer, scores! Jason Podolin with his team leading 12th of the season, and Lowell has a 1-0 lead. 1-0 early in the third. Ray Giroux for Botelli brings it over the St. John line. Moving in, scores! Cody Botel with a power play goal, and Lowell has a 2-0 lead. Plays it for Ray Giroux, moving up the left wing. He'll fire it ahead. Phillips skating over the line, shoots it wide off the inboards. Phillips scores, and it's 3-0. And Bruce Boudreau and the Lock Monsters are celebrating. That's as animated as I've seen a visiting coach in this building in an awfully long time, but Boudreau and his troops can be proud of their performance tonight. They're taking it to the home team despite having only 14 skaters in the lineup. It's back to Brennan. First penalty's over. Shebeturkin, the shot off a leg, picked up at the side of the net by Nabokov. He'll force it in front, and Giguère will catch it. As we get some pushing and shoving here, Phillips and Sharon. Sharon just cold-cocked Greg Phillips as one linesman's trying to intervene, holding back Sharon. Now both linesmen are in there, but the frustration clearly evident in the right hand of Eric Sharon, because he just decked Greg Phillips. Back to Shebeturkin. He's stripped by Cowan, and here comes Cowan and McLean. 2-on-1 shorthanded. Cowan down the left side. Cowan waits, shoots, saved by Scott. Cowan scores on the rebound. And so the shorthanded goal by Cowan and the way it comes about gives the Flames a spark here with 83 seconds left, and a face-off coming up deep in Lowell territory to the left of goaltender Travis Scott. Face-off is to the left of the Lowell netminder, Travis Scott. A minute 23 to play, in the Flames down 3-1. Breton against against Lafayette. Breton, as he's done all night, wins yet another faceoff. Scoville moves down into the right corner, fires it in front, saved by Scott, rebound, in behind the goal, Breton comes up with it, Lafayette takes it away, Roach runs him into the end boards, puck is loose, Roach back at the goal for Benoit Breton, back on the left side for Dave Roach, in behind the net, Bégin gets it to Roach, now for Breton, in front, bouncing puck, picked up by Breton in the corner, under a minute to go in the third period. Now it's Roach, moving on the right side, getting it to Tkachuk. Tkachuk centers it! Standing on it was Bégin. Pedolan looking for the open net, clears it all the way down and in. 4-1 Lowell as Pedolan hits the empty net from 185 feet.
The home ice misery continues. Not a lot else you can say, really.
Well, certainly not exactly what we would like to see. I didn't think we came out with a whole lot of jump in the game and some bad penalties. We got a 1-0 game and we take a bad unsportsmanlike conduct penalty and the puck ends up in our net in the power play. Our power play was ineffective. Really, we weren't effective in the game. We weren't terribly bad, but we weren't effective. We didn't get the job done.
Are you at a point now where you've got to try something like really different or drastic to get the home ice laws sort of out of the way? There seems to be a monkey on the shoulder now there.
Well, the big problem is there's not a whole lot of things you can do. There's not a whole lot of players at my disposal, and we can't switch rinks or anything, and can't wear new jerseys or anything. So there's really not a whole lot of things to do. Just something that we're going to have to work through. That's the only thing that I can think of that's going to change this is us working through it.
What about the power play, Rick? It seemed to be really disorganized tonight.
Well, it's funny. Our power play's been excellent, and we had one bad night. What are you going to do? That's going to happen. I would imagine the sun's going to come up somewhere tomorrow. Probably here. It may be covered by clouds, but we got another game tomorrow night. That's why this is such a great game.
There you have it. The Lowell Lock Monster beat the St. John Flames 4-1, and a good value for that win. Earl Smith for a timeout at Harbor Station.
Thanks very much, Earl. We appreciate the report from Harbor Station on Friday night, and welcome to the Timeout family here on TVNB. And, of course, the Flames, after that 4-1 loss to the Lock Monsters on Friday night, the home misery continues as it extended to 5 games at Harbor Station without a win. You could hear Flames head coach Rick Vive, the frustration in his voice. Can't change the jerseys, can't move the rink. So they had to go back at it again the following night. Saturday night, as Glenn Hanlon and the Portland Pirates arrived at Harbor Station as the Flames tried to shake the monkey off their back. Rick Vive has a bit of a better story towards the end of the game, but we'll go to the highlights from that game on Saturday night. Flames and Pirates. Here's Aaron Kennedy with the call from Harbor Station.
The Flames and the Portland Pirates meet for the 4th time this season. The season series is dead even. Each team has a win. The 3rd game was a tie. Jean-Sébastien Giguère gets the starting goal tonight for the St. John Flames. His record is 10-6-1, a 2.81 goals against average, and a 908 save percentage. Jeff Staples starts on defense with Lee Sorokin. Up front, Daniel Tkachuk centering Dave Roach and Sergei Varlamov. Curtis Cruikshank, the rookie from the Ontario League, starts for the Pirates. No wins, 2 losses, and no ties. Jamie Huscroft, the veteran, is on defense, along with Jean-Francois Fortin, Jeff Nelson, Barry Moore, and Jeff Toms are up front. And it's picked up by Chris Clark, skating down the right wing into the Portland zone. Clark moves it into the corner, cuts in behind the net. Clark puts on the brakes, spins away from one man in front, backhand, scores! Play underway, Fata to the point, Sorokin fakes the shot in front, they score! Redirection by Sergei Varlamov, and the Flames have a 2-0 lead.
Good job by the Flames to control. Fata kind of stumbled with it, got it back to Sorokin. The chance to take the shot, but decided to go left to Sergei Varlamov, who, as you mentioned, Aaron, hasn't played the last 2 games in Rick Vive's doghouse. Guy's a gifted goal scorer, as he was out west a couple of years ago in junior. Good job by Sorokin on the fake on the shot and getting it to Varlamov. Cruikshank out of position. Varlamov puts it behind Cruikshank, and the Flames jump into a 2-0 lead.
Off the boards by Harmer. Paluso moves it into St. John territory, but there'll be a tripping penalty as the stick is still actually caught in Mike Paluso's skate. The blade of Benoit Breton's stick was right in Peluso's skate between the blade and the boot. Sends it behind the net. Baumgartner can't keep it in, and he'll skate back into his own zone. He loses it to Clark. Clark, the shot! Wow. Nolan Baumgartner steps to center, shoots it into the St. John zone. It ends up in the left corner. Scoville turns, tries to clear, can't. Moore with a shot, they score! Knuckleball from Barry Moore. After an error in judgment by Scoville, he tried to go up the middle, and the Pirates have a power play goal. St. John's lead is now 3-1. Church plays it for Mika Ilomo, back at the St. John goal in front.
Whoa, baby!
Stopping Mulhern, that one was right on the plane of the goal line, and Giguère snares it out of midair. Steps away from Mulhern, plays it off the board. 7 minutes gone in the second period. 3-1 the Flames lead. Here's Fata moving in. 2-on-1 with Cowan. Fata for Cowan. Scores! Benoit Breton made that play at the Portland line. Jeff Cowan has scored a goal in 4 straight games, and it's St. John 4, Portland 1.
Here I am with Chris Clark, tonight's game first star. Chris, 2 goals tonight, a shorthanded one. How is it to get the monkey off your back here at home here tonight?
It feels great. You know, we felt the pressure a little bit. We could win on the road, especially we had most of our games on the road so far. But you got to come home. You got to play the same way as we do on the road. Keep things simple and just play the game.
It's early in the season, but you're having a spectacular year so far. Most players get the sophomore jinx. How you managed to stay away from that sophomore jinx?
I'm not sure. I just things are coming my way right now. I'm getting a little lucky. I had the sophomore jinx in college, but now I'm glad I don't have it.
How's the team feeling? You know, they come home and they're thinking, you know, that we play good on the road, we got to come home, and they know the fans are on them, they know it's around the community. How do you guys prepare for a game like this when you know you haven't won a game since October 24th?
It's the mood in the locker room is just to play the same game we play on the road. It's simple, it's not flashy, it's chip it in, chip it out. That's all that Rick's been saying. It's just keep it simple and go out and have some fun.
Good luck the rest of the season, Chris.
Thank you.
Finally, perhaps in a lot of periods, deserve better coming out with maybe 2 or 3-0 leads. Tonight you finally did, and then just stuck your foot on their throat after that.
Well, we did, actually. We had a little bit of a lapse, I thought, maybe in the second period, but in the third period we played pretty strong. We got great goaltending tonight. I thought everybody played very well tonight, and it's too bad we had to wait this long to get our win at home from our last one, but there was a few nights, I think, where we deserved a better fate. Tonight, we buckled down and we didn't make any mistakes. We kept the puck to the outside and didn't give any, we only gave very few scoring chances in the third period.
Pirates head coach Glenn Hannon. Glenn, just your feelings on tonight's game.
Well, I thought St. John played a good game tonight. They were in a situation where they hadn't won in 5 at home, and they wanted to come out and what they felt was a tired hockey team in our group here, and they did. They caught us early, and we couldn't regroup, and we were outshot 20-10 in the first period, and that was pretty much it for the night. Where
do you think some of the mistakes were made tonight? Just getting off to that slow start, or just did it progress as the game rolled along? Scheduling. I mean, we played last night in Springfield, and we bussed all night. We got in at 8:30 in the morning, and it's a fact of life in the American Hockey League. You have to play some games, and St. John does the same thing. They have some games where the scheduling makes it pretty difficult for them to come out with a high emotional level type of game, and this was one of them. We have about 4 of them this year that's going to be very difficult for us to come out and play an emotional type of game, and we wanted to play smartly here tonight, but the first period was just too much for us to overcome. Glenn, you played a lot of years in the NHL. Just your feelings on the way the Canadian franchises seem to be going. Rod Brydon puts Ottawa for sale. Brian Burke says after that Calgary and Edmonton could be next to go if Ottawa moves out of town. Just your feelings on the whole situation.
I'm disappointed. I come from a small prairie town, and when they got hockey in Winnipeg, I said, well, there's a city that will keep hockey forever. And when I see hockey leave Canada, I see all the commitment that's made at grassroots levels through all the different programs, what the Canadian amateur hockey does, to make sure that we have enough hockey players to play in the best league in the world. And for whatever reasons, the players or the teams are having to leave, and I think that everyone here from all sides are going to have to sit down, from the players to owners to government, and to sit down and try to rectify the situation, and hopefully that level heads will prevail, and we'll all come out of here with not losing teams in Canada, but keeping hockey in Canada.
Is it a wise idea for Bryden to be waiting around for the federal government to basically make a handout to the NHL? I mean, with hospitals closing down, or is it more smart for them to go the avenue of maybe we should take some revenue from the pro line?
Well, you're asking a question that Glenn Henlon doesn't have a lot of information. I mean, the owners in the league are very smart people, and they know what they're talking about. For me to comment without having any facts or figures or really know everything that's going on wouldn't be appropriate. I understand that it's an emotional issue from people that aren't directly affected by the game of hockey to see the money that might be given to the teams, and wish that it would be directed elsewhere. But I guess the only way that I can look at it is through a very selfish way, and my way is I want to see hockey stay in Canada, and it's very difficult for me to comment anything past that.
And don't forget, next action for the St. John Flames is coming up this Saturday night at Harbor Station as they take on the Lowell Lock Monsters. A couple of notes to just mention. Congratulations to St. John's Tanya Fowler. Great showing at the Canadian Senior Boxing Championships held over the weekend in BC. She was defeated in the final 6-3 by Jennifer Granol of Quebec City, and also a huge round of applause goes out to Katie Reynolds of the St. John Amateur Speed Skating Club. Set a new provincial record in the intermediate female 1,000-meter race. Club itself finished second overall, capturing 13 medals in Fredericton over the weekend. So to both ladies, a big salute from all of us here at Time Out here on TVNB. Coming up in the second half, Mike Skid and a whole lot of stuff to chat about, so don't go far. Good Monday evening. Welcome back into the second half of Time Out here on TVNB. Nice to be joined by head coach of the St. John Alpine Senior Baseball Team, Mike Skid. Skidder, thanks for taking the time out.
Thank you for having me.
I guess the obvious question is the general meetings were held at least a month ago now, and they're bringing in some rule changes into the league. I'll just run them down, and then you can kind of go back over them as we roll through them. Bringing the wooden bats back, extending the games back to 9 innings, and one import player per team.
That's right.
Now, I'll begin with the wooden bats. Like the idea. A lot of tradition there. Would you agree on that? Or?
Yes, I would. And actually, I believe that probably that's the biggest change. And I think it'll probably really have more of an impact on the game than people realize. I think that historically in New Brunswick, our league, New Brunswick Senior League, has always been known as a hitter's league. And when you take into account the fact that you have smaller ballparks, for example, like Royals Field in Fredericton, Ironman Park in Chatham, and Memorial Field in St. John as well, ball carries very well there. And over the past few years, the home runs have really been creeping up. And I think that it's really it's going to be very, very interesting to see what kind of effect the wooden bats have. I know that they're very popular in the Nova Scotia League. It's they've used them for the past 2 seasons. They're very, very fond of the wooden bats. As a matter of fact, several players have made the statement that they wouldn't want to go back to the aluminum bats.
Really?
Yes, I know for
That's
a fact.
Surprising.
Yeah, I know for a fact in Kentville, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think they had a team that they play in a smaller park, and their home run numbers would be comparable to teams in New Brunswick. And I know I believe in 1997 they were up in the high 60s or even close to 70 home run. And the following year, they with the implementation of the wooden bat rule, they were under 10.
Really?
So it not only has an effect on the number of home runs. I think it really it changes the game as a whole in the sense that balls aren't going to go through the infield near as fast. I think your defense is going to certainly come into play far more than it has in the past. And I think, I really think it's a good idea, and I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to see how things turn out with it.
Okay, now we flip over to, I remember a couple of years ago when you guys jumped back to 7 innings, just because, schedules nowadays, hustle and the bustle, people coming and going, getting off work sometimes at 5:30, 6 o'clock. By the time they get home, it's 7. Getting to the ballpark for a 7:30, 8 o'clock start. Do you agree with me that 9 innings, that might have been, out of the 3 new rules that they brought in for next season, that might be the one that might come back to bite you somewhere down the road?
Well, I not only do I agree with you, I don't see any logic in that whatsoever. I guess, the thought must have been that the fact that they are adding import pitchers and they are adding wooden bats. I know that sometimes if you have a well-pitched game, you can get through sometimes in even like under 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe their thought is that if we have import pitchers and we have wooden bats, we don't want to go into a situation where we see a game get over in an hour. But I really don't think that's the case. I think that I thought 7 innings worked very well. Sure. And one of the major problems you have with a 9-inning game is you're talking about, especially during the week, if you're talking Fredericton or Moncton, as far as speaking on behalf of St. John. You're not getting home at 12 anymore. You're getting home now at 1, or a minimum of an hour. So, if the last 2 innings turns into a situation where you have relief pitchers coming in and out, you could be an hour and a half. I don't. That's a rule that I'm a little leery about that rule, and I would go as far as to say is maybe what might be appropriate there, and I don't know if they'd even consider it or not, but maybe they look at the halfway mark. If they're looking at a 28-game season, maybe at the 14-game mark they would look at
reevaluate the situation.
Yeah, because that's a situation that if you're going to a major league game and it's a family outing and obviously it's a great form of entertainment and you're taking your kids or whoever, you want to spend a day there. Sure. And the 9 innings, that's one thing,
especially with the cash you're doling in.
Exactly. Yeah. But not. I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people want to sit in Memorial Field on a Tuesday night for 3 hours.
The fog rolls in. It's a tough situation. But like you said, I agree with you on that idea. 28-game schedule, 14 games played. See how the league likes it, the players, the team. Because, you got to understand, and, most people do and remember, these ball players have jobs.
Well, that's the other issue too. Is I find a lot of these decisions are made at the whether it's the annual general meeting or the league meeting or what have you, but the ball players themselves don't have a lot of input into these decisions. Sure. And I think that's certainly is a situation where I think there's roughly 100 players or so in the Brunswick Senior League. I think that if somebody took the time to go around and whether you spoke to team representatives or the players on an individual basis, I'd be very, very surprised if the majority of players were in favor of 9 innings.
It would shock me too. It really would. The import player, you got to be happy with that. Now, how much of an effect is that going to have for your club, and how much tougher is that going to make the competition out there?
Well, I think that the import rule has always been a very touchy rule. Sure. And I think that people know who follow our team at all know for the longest time that I'm not a big fan of the import rule. Mm-hmm. But again, that's my own personal philosophy, and it's I'm certainly would never say that the teams. I'm sure that if I could list off a number of reasons here today why I don't think we should have them, the teams that were in favor of them could just come back and counter with a number of reasons why that they should. There's no question, regardless if it's baseball, hockey, whatever sport, you bring in players, out of province players, out of country players, pay those players. There's absolutely no doubt it's going to improve the quality of the baseball. Sure. I think that fortunately in St. John, we've always been able, at least for the past 10 years anyhow, we've been able to compete without them. Sure. And that's a choice that we make as a team. And I guess the thing is, if other teams want them, and if other teams are willing to pay them, and they're willing to raise the money, and they feel that bringing in players like that can benefit their club, then who am I to say that they're wrong? Obviously, again, it came down to a vote, and it was a 3-3 vote, and this time the president of the league decided to split the vote, and he voted in favor of them, and he's done a good job for this league, and I respect his choice, and I hope things work out.
It's one of those wait and see. See how things turn out.
And it's always an issue that we've had them, we haven't had them, sure. And nothing is etched in stone. And I know that the issue will come up again next year, and they'll vote on it again, and it may go through again, or it may revert back to none, or it could go to 2. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah. We go back to Memorial Field, a lot of upkeep, and there's been just a ton of improvements over the past couple of years. The Dave Ring Memorial scoreboard gone up. It was brought up in Common Council a couple of weeks ago that, there might be $50,000 pumped into this field. What would be the biggest improvement? I mean, let's face it, you guys are one of the major, players over there. What would be the biggest improvement they could do that you can think of that would draw more fans over to the ballpark?
Well, as far as drawing the fans, I think any improvement in the facility at all, hopefully would add a few extra people in the ballpark. I think that the park desperately needed the irrigation system that they put in, and really I know that specifically with Memorial Field, even in St. John, when they always talk about the fog and the rain, well, I'll tell you, in the past few summers, there's been some stretches where we haven't seen rain in a long time.
Absolutely.
And I know that infield, it's basically like playing on concrete when it gets to a point where you haven't had water. But even a small rain, or for 5 minutes or 10 minutes before a game, it really makes a drastic improvement in that field. And it is a very good field. And I would put it on par with any field in New Brunswick. It's it's very well maintained, and I think that the improvements they make are only going to help things all around at every level. And I know that last week you spoke about the possibility of national tournaments, and obviously if you're going to attract national tournaments to your area, you have to have good facilities.
Absolutely.
And $50,000, I'm not sure of how much they're allotted or how much they plan to spend in specific areas, but there's no question they do need improvement in the field. They also need improvement in the clubhouse facilities. I mean, a basic 2 dressing rooms and some showers and stuff like that. And they also need an officials room as well, because I know that I live in Brookview Crescent myself, and many times I walk down the street at night and those umpires are getting changed on the side of the road there, so I can't forget about them. But I think that they're moving in the right direction, and hopefully the funds are there. I know that for a lot of people that may not be a priority, but I think that when you get guys on Common Council like Bernie Desmond, and obviously sports is a priority to him, and I think that it's been a long time since they've made any drastic improvements to that field, and I think they're long overdue.
No question. Very quickly, how do you think the team's shaping up for next season?
Oh, I think that it's always very difficult to say in December where you're going to be in May. You don't know who's going to come back to town. You don't know who's going to get transferred. It's not a situation where you have anybody under contract. But I always find that there's enough players in St. John that we're always competitive, and we've been like that way over the past 10 years. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be like that again in the year 2000.
Perfect. Skidder, you come back and join us for the season's up?
I sure will. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Hey, have a very Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the past 30 minutes, and don't forget we'll be back next Monday night, 7 o'clock, for Time Out right here on TVNB. Thanks for joining us.